All right, guys, so we caught another one, right? We got another one, another Demo hypocrite, right? Because that's what I'm about to start calling them, Demo hypocrites, because that's who they are, that has been caught not following their own rules, right? Things they push on other people, they're not doing. And this time, this one is particularly egregious. This was bad, right? This was terrible. As Maxine Waters has been caught maskless on a cross-country United flight, Maxine Waters not wearing a mask. Again, and this is bad because this is at the same time that the Biden administration is pushing more stringent regulations and requirements on airlines in regards to mask wearing because of the Omicron variant, okay? And she's a part of that. She's an integral part of what the Democrats do. And she has been caught, literally caught, not wearing one on a plane. Now, if any of you guys have been on a plane recently, you know they strict about that. They straight, okay? And I'm going to talk about some of the experiences I've had on the plane. But before we talk about how I've been treated and how Maxine Waters is going to be treated, right? Let's talk about how United treated a regular person who decided to wear a thong as a mask on one of their flights. Let's see how they treated him. Take a look.
The man says this is his way of protesting the federal mask mandate. He's wearing a red thong on his face, but the airline workers were not in the mood to joke around.
And that flight was leaving from Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport at the time. Now that man is being banned from flying United. Eden has more in the newsroom.
Christy Louie, after that man got kicked off the plane, others followed him off in protest. And we're now hearing from the man who says he's not crazy and he has a good reason for masking up with a thong. This is Adam Jenny.
To which I replied, it's a mask, doing its job.
Wearing his statement piece, a bright red thong. Jenny says he's worn underwear as a mask since the beginning of the pandemic.
Every single flight has been met with different reactions from the flight crew.
And this time they weren't having it.
I am banned from flying United, so much for the customer is always right.
He got kicked off the flight, but what happened after is what really surprised him.
People started just filing off the plane. Maybe a dozen, something like that.
It happened after this guy questioned why Jenny got removed. Then he says others followed his lead. Even as COVID cases start to climb again and hospitals fill up across the country, Jenny is comparing himself to civil rights icons.
Everything else that has sparked change in this country has started from everyday people. Rosa Parks was nobody famous. She changed the course of history.
United Airlines says Jenny wasn't in compliance with the federal mask mandate and they gave him a refund. Jenny will try and fly home again this week with a different airline.
Hopefully Spirit has a better sense of humor tomorrow. We'll see, I guess.
All right, well, no word on what happened when the man boarded that Spirit flight wearing his signature thong mask, but we do know he will never be flying United again.
Yeah, so as you guys can see that, this man wearing his thong mask probably got banned from flying on United, right? Now, Maxine, in this story right here, okay, she's going to be not wearing a mask on the same airline, allegedly, not the same flight, but the same airline. And again, you guys can guess that probably does not happen to her. She probably does not get the same treatment, right? So much for so-called white privilege. But before we get into that, I actually want to play the mainstream media, right? Responding to some, airline CEOs who, had some questions about, wearing masks on planes and kind of how they feel about wearing masks on planes.
Just when it comes to the common cold or catching a flu on a plane.
Yeah, actually, I think there was a study out just a couple of weeks ago showing that it was basically fine to travel on planes, but on planes where everybody ate at the same time on long distance flights, and so they took their mask off, say, for an hour, all the people on the plane were eating, so they took their masks off. On those flights, you had a more rapid spread of COVID than you did on the flights which were shorter and people didn't take their masks off. So if that's the evidence, I just don't know what they're talking about. I mean, I would not get on those planes.
No. If they don't have the evidence, if they don't have the medical studies, they shouldn't be saying that.
Yeah. So the mainstream liberal media is like, if people ain't wearing masks on planes, I'm not sure if I necessarily want to get on those planes, right? Contrary to some things that the airline CEOs have come out and basically said, about masks and stuff like that I really can't get into. The mainstream liberal media is really gun-ho about this whole mask thing. Even so much so to where, you know, people like Jake Tapper, and I've done a video on this, literally was asking Amy Klobuchar about whether or not she felt that she was threatened by Ted Cruz speaking to her without a mask on, right? Even though, you know, they were at the table together, Amy Klobuchar and Jake Tapper, with no mask, right? Again, I'm just saying this because you would think that when a story like this comes out, we all know they would talk about it if it was a Republican, right? If it was Ted Cruz with no mask on the plane, they would be crucifying the man, okay? Oh, he's putting everybody in danger. He doesn't care, blah, blah, blah. Maxine Waters, on the other hand, I guarantee you will never hear anything about this. You won't hear anything about it, right? Even though they claim they believe in this stuff so much, even though, you know, again, they don't really wear masks and stuff like that. Again, it's the hypocrisy is just crazy to me. But anyways, let's read about Maxine Waters and her refusal to wear a mask on the plane. Talk about a mask off moment for Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Today, an anonymous tipster passed along an exclusive photo to the Daily Wire that appeared to be a high-profile member of Congress not wearing a mask aboard a United flight headed from Duluth Airport to Los Angeles International. Despite the FAA mask mandate in place requiring all passengers to wear one due to COVID-19 precautions. Meanwhile, flight attendants hounded other passengers consistently for not wearing their masks. Even between bites of food, flight attendants only asked Waters to pull up her mask once. The tipsters pointed out the hypocrisy. Now listen, I got personal experience with this, right? When I was on a flight, man, I was on American Airlines, bro. They are strict about that, right? I had my mask. Matter of fact, I couldn't wear it. What's the thing called that you put over your face? But it's like a sleeve that kind of goes down over your chest and stuff like that. I was wearing one of those instead of like a regular mask. They was like, no, you can't wear that. You have to wear a regular mask. Okay, so I put my mask on. It wasn't over my nose, and it was like, no, you got to put it over your nose, right? You know what I'm saying? Like literally, the flight attendant checked me on that multiple times. I kept it on, but she was like, no, you have to keep it over your nose the whole time. Again, it was super annoying. But this is what I had to do as a pleb, right? As a nobody, right? As a regular citizen, I had to follow the rules, right? I had to follow the rules. Again, you know, this is kind of what I'm talking about when it comes to the whole mask stuff, okay? To me, it's almost like a representation of class warfare, okay? When you guys remember the whole Hollywood thing, like maybe it was the Emmys or something like that, where all the celebrities on the red carpet weren't wearing masks, okay? And all the staff and the helpers, they were wearing masks. To me, that is a representation of you guys have to do it. We don't, right? We're better than you because we're the elite and you're not, okay? And this keeps showing up over and over and over again, okay? And I really think that it's been done on purpose to send a message about who's allowed to break the rules and who's not. I really do. Maxine had her mask off for at least an hour while she read her paper and took a nap. The source told the Daily Wire, quote, attendants brought her fresh coffee while she was napping and didn't say a thing as three of them walked past and saw Maxine reading and then sleeping while she remained maskless. I wonder why, right? Why didn't they say anything to her? Again, because she's a congresswoman. She's the elite. So they know that if they say something to her, she could possibly get them fired, right? She has the power to make a complaint. And next thing you know, they lose their jobs. Again, not a luxury that people like us get. But the source did not receive the same treatment from United Airlines. Quote, my nose had bled pretty early into the flight, so I later on pulled my mask down below my nose to get some cooler air, she explained. Within a few minutes, a flight attendant informed me I had to put my mask back over my nose the right way immediately. Again, same exact experience I had, right? They don't play about the mask being over the nose thing. It has to be over your nose, okay? No matter how uncomfortable it is, it has to be over your nose, and they will check you on that, okay? So I had the same experience. The source says she pointed in the direction of Waters, indicating that she wasn't wearing a mask as a form of protest. The flight attendant looked at Waters and said to the woman, okay, but you need to put your mask on right away. Basically, okay, She's elite. You're not. If I say something to her, I'll lose my job. I can say whatever I want to you, and you can't do anything about it. So therefore, you got to follow the rules. Quote, I put the mask on right away after the flight attendant told Maxine to put her mask on. The Daily Wire source added, Maxine had been napping. She did put the mask on after the attendant interrupted her sleep and told her to do so. I think she was startled by the rude awakening. The source also suspects Waters had a role in her boyfriend's seat getting bumped, was able to snap a photo of the Congresswoman before she put her mask on. Readers should remember that Waters has been one of the longest and most vocal advocates of masking in public settings. In April 2020, Waters tweeted, quote, take a chance. Remind an unmasked person to put on a mask. If they become angry, smile and say 6 feet away and keep going. Okay? So this is what she's saying. This is things that she's saying in public. And you would think there's no excuse for her not to remember, right? She's been on a flight for an hour, allegedly, according to this person. This is all alleged. What excuse does she has not to remember to keep the mask on, right? Everybody knows when you get on a plane, you got to wear one. In May 2020, Waters took a step further and said that not wearing a mask in public was a threat to public safety. She slammed then President Donald Trump as being a bad role model for being seen in public without the face covering. Quote, Trump is a dangerous example for children and those who tend to follow him. Not wearing a mask and not social distancing is dangerous, she tweeted. Do not follow his example. Protect yourself. Coronavirus kills. Maybe this ignoramus doesn't care, but you should care about yourself. Wow, I wonder if she apply that same standard to her. Obviously not. Not when she's on the flight. Okay, in a closed space, an enclosed space, right? That's one of the reasons why they want you to wear it, right? Because it's enclosed space. Okay, everybody's sitting next to each other, right? Swapping germs, right? Swapping air, breathing the same air. It is what it is. But again, when it comes to her, though, she doesn't really care. And I wonder with the mainstream media, are they going to talk about this and question whether or not Maxine Waters is putting people's lives in danger the same way they did Trump? Of course not. You'll never hear about it. She doubled down on that message in June 2020, tweeting, Trump still refuses to wear a mask. Trump's failed leadership and his unfortunate followers not wearing masks, not social distancing, is responsible for growing infections, death, and surge in coronavirus cases. Again, I wonder, can she apply that same standard to herself? Right? Are you now responsible for growing infections, death, and a surge in cases, Maxine Waters? Because I can make that argument based off things that you said in the past, Maxine, right? Based off things you said in the past. None of these statements were forgotten by the Daily Wire source, who slammed the Congresswoman for her rules to thee but not for me attitude. The passenger also expressed her dissatisfaction with United's customer service or lack thereof. Quote, the injustice of being overlooked because we were not important, like Maxine, of being dismissed when my boyfriend tried to address the seat he paid for so that we could sit together, and then being roughly spoken to for having my own mask down a fraction of an inch when someone else, a well-known politician, just 6 feet away from me, was breaking the required face mask on airlines was flabbergasting. I'll be flabbergasted too, right? I'll be pissed. I'll be pissed. Quote, flight attendants stay on you, the source said. If you don't put on a mask on in between bites of food or sips of drink, they will ask you to. They state so at the start of their safety guidelines aboard the flight. I can attest that this is 100% true, right? Did it exactly what they do. Quote, but none of them once bothered Maxine when she was maskless, she remarked. A politician who believes in masks, but only when others wear them for her. It's a double standard, but people seem to be blind to it. Well, they're not blind to it. They just don't care. Right? The mainstream liberal media just doesn't care to cover it because they don't really believe in wearing them. Right? Like, listen, Rashida Tlaib, when she got caught, she's like, yeah, the only reason I wear this so, I got Republicans that follow me that try to take pictures. Right? So I just make sure I wear it so that they can't say that I'm not wearing it. Like, they flat out tell you what it is. Okay? They tell you. As for the boyfriend not getting to sit in his original seat, the source said they were able to sit near each other, but that Waters was able to sit without anyone next to her at all. Again, that's that politician privilege, right? That's the politician privilege. Quote, she was in the window seat, and in the middle seat was a sign that said the seat was out of service and sorry for the inconvenience. There is a young man in the aisle seat of that row who mid-flight agreed to switch seats with my boyfriend so that the both of us could at least be across from each other. Again, guys, they put a sign there to say the seats are out of service. Sorry for the inconvenience. Again, I wonder why they did that. Because a politician was sitting there, guys. I mean, these people, bro, they're showing you time and time again, they're not one of us. They don't believe they're one of us, okay? And they do it in so many different ways, right? These people are not for me and you. It's very clear. Recently, President Joe Biden extended the federal mask mandates for public transportation, such as airlines, into March 2020. The Daily Wire reached out to Waters' office for comment, but has not received one. This is just another example of hypocrisy, right? I mean, just like with Maxine Waters, goes out here and tries to condemn Trump about, inciting violence and the right-wing violence and stuff like that. But she goes out there and she incites violence, right? Talk about getting in people's faces, okay? Trying to intimidate juries, doing all types of crazy stuff, right? Saying all types of crazy stuff. Again, these politicians simply, they don't have morals. They don't have principles. They don't care about following the rules. They don't think that they should be held to any standards. And this is just another clear example. There is no excuse in the world for somebody like her not to be wearing a mask on the airlines when especially everybody else has to be required to do it. It makes no sense for her not to be doing it. Also makes no sense that she gets the special privilege of being able to sit by herself. Okay? Again, stuff like this, it really burns me up because it's just another example, again, how these politicians, they feel like they're better than everybody else and that everybody else is subject to things they're not subject to. And it really pisses me off. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.